Welcome to Perfectly Seasoned Cooking Boot Camp. I'm your personal chef, Greg Strahm. Today, I'll show you how to prepare a simple country version of the classic French cheese soufflé. This recipe actually comes from Jacques Pepin, who explains that the recipe was the way his mother made it, and it's not like the classic soufflé where you have to beat the egg whites and then you have to carefully fold them in and then you have to make sure you hold your breath and that the stars are in alignment before you put it in the oven so that it doesn't collapse. Nothing like that. This is far, far more simple, and it's actually just as good and it holds up a lot better. So let's get started. First, I'm going to make a bechamel, which is the basic, one of the three basic French sauces, and it's butter and flour cooked into a roux, added milk, and stir that, whisk that until it becomes a nice thick sauce, and you can use it, flavor it for different types of sauces. So I'm going to get started here. I'm going to bring this to the boil so that it continues cooking the flour more and thickening the sauce. The recipe you can find on my website, thesilverchef.net, and it's printable, and it's the original Jacques Pepin recipe, which is what I'm using here. There you can see this thickening up very quickly. Continue to stir until it's completely incorporated, nice and smooth. About a minute. You want it to cook and boil for just about 45 seconds to a minute is all. Now I'm going to just put a little shaving of fresh nutmeg in there. This is my twist. I happen to like the taste of freshly grated nutmeg with Gruyere cheese, which I'll be using in just a second. So you just need a very slight amount of nutmeg, and you're going to mix that in there and just leave it set for one. It's done now. So now I'm going to move on to making the egg the souffle mixture. And for that, I'm going to crack 5 eggs. Now, little hint, make sure that you crack them one at a time into a separate bowl because you don't want to have anything wrong with the egg and ruin the other eggs in the recipe. So far, so good. There we go. Just going to use a fork to mix the eggs. I'm going to add the 2½ cups of freshly grated Gruyere cheese, or you can use a Swiss cheese. And I'm going to also add 2 to 3 tablespoons of freshly chopped chives. So I'm just going to mix this together till the eggs, the chives, and the cheese are well incorporated. And now that the bechamel is cooled slightly, that's the perfect temperature. That's really a good temperature for that. You don't want it too hot because you do not want to cook the eggs. So I'm going to quickly add this to the bechamel. I'm just going to work this very quickly. Mix it so that it's thoroughly mixed. Now the last thing I'm going to do is to butter and dust the casserole dish. Just use, you want to rub the inside of the casserole dish all the way around, up the sides, very important. So you have a nicely dusted casserole dish. And you're just going to empty this into the dish. You can do it in one casserole dish like this, or you can do it in individual ramekins, which makes a very nice presentation so that everybody gets a souffle. Now the last thing I'm going to do is to take a thin slice of Gruyere cheese and I'm going to quarter it. I'm going to place each quarter into the center of the casserole. And we're going into a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven, preheated, for about 35 to 40 minutes. Well, it's been 40 minutes, And I'm going to pull the souffle out of the oven and wait until you see the results. Isn't that beautiful? Now it'll start to deflate somewhat. There, it's already starting. But if you can get it to the table to serve, it doesn't really make that much difference once it's there. The presentation is pretty simple. You can serve this with a salad as an evening supper or a brunch, or you can serve it individually as a side dish. Today I'm serving it as an entire meal, and I'm serving it with a Sonoma County blend from the Bacigalupi vineyard. It's a nice fruity wine, and it goes very well with the cheese. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Perfectly Seasoned Cooking Boot Camp. If you did, click below to subscribe. I'm your personal chef, Greg Strahm, hoping all your days will be perfectly seasoned.